Hey everybody, this is Bill Williams. Welcome to another Trahan Creek Outdoors video. Well, today's video is entitled Gardening in November. Is that really possible? Come see. I think you'll find that it is. Now, I am in zone 8B, so if you're in one of the more northern zones, you may not can be doing this. But if you're somewhere from about zone 7 south, you can probably do some or maybe all of the things that I'm doing. All right, let's take a look. There's wind out here today, so it's going to be a little bit difficult maybe at times. I'll try to keep these sessions filmed during the least windy times. But I'm in the garden now, just pausing right here to give you a shot. My helper Mache is behind one of the beds with the plastic cover on it. I've got two of those here. There's some young seedlings under there that I'm trying to protect. This is November the 2nd, and we had some cool weather come in. Don't think we actually got an actual freeze. We did get some light frost here and there and the other in a couple of isolated spots. So I just covered these as a precaution. They'd have probably done fine. I think they got spinach and maybe mustard. I'm not sure what's under there. I'll have to go look on my garden chart to see. But anyway, this particular little bed, of course, we use these beds summer, spring, summer, fall, all the way around. So you do have one cherry tomato still left in it. But you may notice my tomatoes actually have blooms and little bitty baby tomatoes. Remember, it's November the 2nd. This is not June or April or any time like that. We've got flowers growing. This is a zinnia. Leftover seed fell in the bed and it volunteered. And despite the cold weather, it's up, running, and beautiful looking little flower. Over here in this bed, more cherry tomatoes. Again, blooming just fine, just as happy as they can be. Out here blooming on this tomato plant. Also, little green tomatoes, and I guess the cold got one of them over there on the ground. It fell off, unfortunately. So, anyway, be that as it may. This bed's all broken down, and I've got to repair it completely, as you see. Actually, I'm just going to get a new bed. We're going to make birdhouses out of this lumber or something and go from there. Looking over here in this bed, this is a bed I planted a couple weeks ago. I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, of kale. I have in it a young tomato plant growing on its own from a seed that fell off a tomato. I didn't plant that. It just volunteered and came up. But as you see, I got a lot of young kale plants. They're coming along looking fairly nice out here. They don't really need to worry about being protected. I don't need to protect these from the cold. We're not scheduled for the remainder of the month of November to have any weather below freezing on the long-term forecast. We're predicted to have an average winter, mostly wet. We just finished October, and it went on the record books as the wettest October in the history of weather records here in Jackson. Beat all prior records. We had more than 10 inches of rain in October. So a lot of wet conditions, but you don't have to water in the garden, and the plants get plenty of moisture. So as you see, they're growing pretty good, and they'll come on, and I'll get these thinned up a little bit. I think there's 2 different varieties, Siberian kale and red kale maybe in here. So that's why the plants look a little different on one part than the other. Actually, we have a second volunteer tomato. Let me pull these out and keep them for greenhouse. So anyway, I am going to be doing a greenhouse this winter, getting it ready for spring. So anyway, most of these tomatoes I'm gonna pull and take them on out. They really have done their course. But as you see, got a lot of little young kale going. I don't remember if I planted anything in this bed or not. Seems like I did throw something out in here to follow up these tomatoes. And then over here in this bed is today's project. For today's project, what we're going to be doing is planting onions to overwinter to be harvested next summer, or spring to summer, depending on how fast they grow. But anyway, these will be primarily, we'll get some young green onions out of it, but primarily to grow a little bit bigger onions, just to let them grow for a while. They'll overwinter. They'll have an early start next spring, assuming we have a good winter that doesn't kill everything off, and they'll be ready, as I say, mid garden season next year to pull some sort of what you'd call slicing onions, good for sandwiches and stuff, big enough to do something with. So that's where our goal is for this bed. If you'll notice, I have one leftover spearmint plant here, just looking beautiful. I'm going to leave it for the time being, but ultimately I'll take it out of this bed. I don't want it in the bed, and pot it or do something else with it. Spearmint will grow everywhere. So what we're going to do today, plant the onions and leave them to overwinter. I don't know what variety. I'll go look in a second and show you what to do. But basically this bed has been filled with compost and planting mix. Originally it had Mel's mix in it. Some of Mel's stuff has sort of worked its way on through the process and come out of the bed over time, and so it's got more compost now than it has Mel's mix, but it still has some of all and a little natural soil in there too. So all I did basically is just, this compost was topped up about 2 weeks ago. I just came in here with my spade and just kind of move the top part layer so that we'll have an easy planting thing. But it's got good soil moisture in it. It is ready to go. It's a beautiful little setup here. So the onions should do well in it. And I guess I'll show you a little more before I plant my onions. What I've got going on here, my cat's over at my totem boat in the background. But what I've got here is a row getting started to get ready to plant cabbage in. I'll try to get these out today, may not, maybe tomorrow before I get a chance to get them done. All my leftover tomato cages got to be put up. But anyway, cabbage will go here. Right, I got it potted up, and I'm taking it over here to my rain barrel and just giving it a good soaking watering. Some natural rainwater. I do not put city water on my plants. It's just not good for them. And just hopefully you can see what we're left with is a beautiful spearmint plant. Sunlight will pull it on out and make it straighten up there a little bit in a 1 gallon container, which isn't really a gallon, but you know, that's what we call them in the industry. We'll prune it up a little bit as time goes by, keep it watered, and I'll have a nice plant to sell next spring. That's all for today's gardening session, folks. But be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you won't miss part 2, which will be posted soon. Thanks for watching.